The horse standing in front of you right now does not understand the word love, but it understands something older than language and more honest. Whether what you're doing registers as safe, familiar, and worth staying close to or not, that's the actual question. Most people who spend time around horses know the feeling. You show up at the paddock, you're happy to see your horse seems happy to see you, and somewhere in your chest that feels like love returned. You're probably right, just not in the way you think. Horses don't experience affection as an emotion projected on them. They experience it as a physiological event, a shift in your nervous system that their nervous system reads in real time and decides whether to mirror or brace against. Which means how you love your horse matters far less than how that love actually feels from where they're standing. Here's the thing that stops people when they first hear it. Your horse is more accurate at reading your internal state than most people in your life. Not because they're perceptive in some mystical sense, because they're prey animals, and detecting the emotional condition of nearby bodies is a survival mechanism refined across 50 million years. The HeartMath Institute has documented that horses respond to human heart rate variability, not the rate itself, the coherence. Whether your heart rhythm is smooth and regulated or jagged and elevated changes how a horse moves around you. Before you say a word, before you touch them, they've already made an assessment. So when you walk to your horse tense, distracted, or braced, and your horse seems distant, won't stand still, keeps shifting away, that's not attitude, that's a mirror, and mirrors are actually useful if you let them be. The first way you show love, and the one that costs nothing, is regulation. Breathing slowly and deliberately before you touch your horse. Not performance, an actual physiological shift. Slow exhale, soft focus, body weight dropping slightly. Horses are acutely sensitive to respiratory rhythm. There's reasonable evidence, though it's not always clean to study, worth saying, that synchronized breathing between horse and human during quiet contact is a real phenomenon, not a metaphor, most of the time. Not every horse, not every situation, but enough that it's worth treating as a practice rather than a nice idea. The second way is something almost every horse naturally invites and almost every human misreads: the withers scratch. When horses groom each other, mutual grooming, allo-grooming, they target the withers, crest of the neck, and top line. Research from the University of Rennes found that mutual grooming in horses measurably lowers heart rate, and horses will actively seek it from humans they trust. If your horse leans into a withers scratch, stretches their neck, drops their head, that's not a trained behavior. That's the social bonding circuitry doing exactly what it was built to do. You are, for that moment, operating as a member of the herd. Third, the approach. This one can get wrong without knowing it. If you always go to your horse, always initiate contact, always choose when the interaction starts, you've quietly removed their agency from the equation. Horses in positive relationships with humans show clear preference behaviors. They turn toward, they take a step closer, they initiate. The single most meaningful shift you can make in your daily routine is to give your horse the space to come to you, even briefly, even for 30 seconds. A horse that chooses the interaction is a horse that trusts it. There's a real difference between an animal that tolerates your presence and one that selects it.
The fourth thing. This one is probably the least dramatic, which is exactly why it works. Shared stillness. Sitting near your horse with no agenda, no grooming, no training, no leading anywhere, just existing in the same space. Horses are deeply attentive to the emotional texture of a human who asks nothing of them. If you can sit quietly near your horse for 10 minutes without redirecting their attention, without inserting yourself into what they're doing, you are communicating something no amount of treats can replicate. You're not a task, you're company, and that registers. Fifth, and this is where it gets behavioral, learn the low stress signals. Soft eye, low head carriage, a loosely swinging lower lip, weight shifted, one hind leg resting. These are the signals horses offer when they feel safe. If you can read them fluently, you start to notice something. The moments after certain interactions, your horse shows more of them, more often, for longer. That feedback loop, accumulated over weeks, is what emotional safety looks like in a horse. It isn't love in the human sense, but it might be something more durable. There are 50 behaviors in the description, things horses do with their ears, their tails, the muscles around their eyes, that humans consistently read wrong or miss entirely. If any of what we covered here made you want to look more carefully at your horse, that's where to go next. It's linked below. Sixth is predictability. Horses are not creatures built to thrive on surprise. A human who shows up the same way, same energy range, same general rhythm, same basic steadiness when something goes sideways becomes a known quantity. Known quantities feel safe, and felt safety in horses produces something that from the outside looks remarkably like affection. Maybe it is. The mechanism and the experience aren't always as separate as we tend to assume.
Seventh, this one I find quietly important, maybe more than it has any right to be. Respecting the turnaway. When a horse breaks contact, glances to the field, steps back, simply shifts their attention somewhere else, letting that happen without immediately reclaiming their focus is an act of trust. It sounds like nothing. It's actually a statement. You don't have to stay, and horses that are given the right to leave consistently tend to leave less. What you are to your horse is a variable in their environment, one that predicts safety or one that predicts unpredictability, one that always wants something or one that sometimes just shows up. The goal isn't to get your horse to love you. The goal is to become someone they would choose to be near, given the option. That's a different question. I think it's the better one. If the way horses actually read us changed how you think about showing up for yours, the next video goes further into what's happening beneath what you can see.